symbol to all Muslims in the world. This is a point of victory against the United States of America. This is history. When I go to Jerusalem, that Golden Dome Mosque, what is that? It commemorates the victory over the Jews and the Christians there. In Spain, it is the exact same thing. All of this stuff is history. All of it is proven fact. And all of it is ignored by the West. Now, my friends, let's move on. In the book of Daniel, in Daniel chapter 8, we again have another picture. There is the ram in verse number 3, which has 2 horns. That's the Medo-Persian Empire. I saw the ram pushing westward in verse number 4. Northward, southward, and no one could withstand them. In verse number 5, I was considering, and suddenly a male goat came from the west. Where's west? It's Greece. It was the Grecian Empire. And the goat had a notable horn. What was the name of the Greek leader? His name, Alexander what? The Great. He had a notable horn between his eyes. Then he came to the ram that had 2 horns. That was the Medo-Persian Empire, which I'd seen standing beside the river with furious power. And obviously he destroyed him. In verse number 9, out of one of them came a little horn, which grew exceedingly great to the south. Now, my friends, there was a person that appeared in the Greek Empire. His name was Antiochus Epiphanes. He is a type of the Antichrist. But again, here is a near and a far fulfillment. This is referring to the Antichrist. So that little horn of Daniel chapter 7, which is the Antichrist, is the same little horn that is referred to here in Daniel chapter 8. Because look at what he did. He grew up to the host of heaven and cast it down, some of the host and some of the stars to the ground. When Satan fell, what happened? We read in Revelation chapter 12, he took 1/3 of the stars. Stars are a picture of the fallen angels that came down. Now, I'd like you, let's go on through the book of Daniel before I take you somewhere else, because we only got 10 minutes. Now, in Daniel chapter 9, and after the 62 weeks, the Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. This is the famous prophecy of Daniel that talks about Jesus dying on the cross. And I'm not going to go into all the explanation because I think most of you have a little bit. And the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end of it shall be with a flood. This is where we got off a little bit, because who destroyed Jerusalem? Well, Rome destroyed Jerusalem. So, it had to be a revived Roman Empire, because it's going to be a people, or the prince of the people who is to come. But my friends, here's what happens, because we see that this prince who is to come is clearly the Antichrist. He makes a peace plan with the nation of Israel. Now again, in Muslim end-time theology, their Mahdi, when he appears, is going to make a peace covenant with the nation of Israel. He is going to allow the temple to be rebuilt. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Satan is planted in the deception every step along the way, that it counterfeits the Bible so that they are going to think that they're truly following the one true great religion, and Allah is truly the greatest. So the people of the prince who is to come. Well, I thought it was the Roman army that destroyed Jerusalem. The answer is it was the Roman army. But my friends, where'd that Roman army come from? The soldiers that were in the army, we know who they were. They were the 10th Legion. You know where the 10th Legion came from? Turkey, Syria, and Petra, the Nabatean Arabs. It comprised the 15th legion of the Roman Empire, which was from Syria. It comprised the 12th legion, which was eastern Turkey and Syria. And it comprised the 5th legion. And all of these are Muslim territories. So it is the prince of the people who is to come. So even there, all of this heritage goes back to not Rome in the western, Rome in the eastern empire of the Roman, which all is Muslim today. Now, let's turn one other place. Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14, verse number 12. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, and how you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. That's what Muhammad said. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also set on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Yes, I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit. And those who see you will gaze at you and consider you, saying, is this the man that made the whole earth tremble? That's the Antichrist. Now, my friends, again, the Antichrist is Satan incarnate. His title, again, is a counterfeit. Here it says, the Son of the Morning. What's Jesus' title from the book of Revelation? Bright and Morning Star. What is the symbol of Islam? Islam is the crescent moon with the morning star. But that symbol, my friends, goes all the way back to the Babylonian religion, because in the book of Joshua and Judges, we see when they were destroyed. Well, let me read to you real quick out of Psalm 83. Psalm 83 is this coalition of nations that in the future is going to come against Israel. So let's hear it. Psalm 83, verse number 1. Do not keep silent, O God, and do not hold your peace. Do not be still, O God, for behold, your enemies make a tumult. Those who hate you have lifted up their head. The basic hatred against the Jews is always the hatred against God. You understand that, right? It's demonic hatred. Anti-Semitism is demonic hatred. And it says, they have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted together against your sheltered ones. And they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel will be no more. Do you hear that being said today? Ahmadinejad says it all the time, doesn't he? For they have consulted together with one consent, and they form a conspiracy against you. The tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites, that's Muslims today. Moab and the Hagarites, that's Muslims today. Gebal, Ammon, Ammon is in Jordan. Amalek, Philistia. Philistia today is the Gaza Strip. The inhabitants of Tyre. Tyre today is Lebanon. It is the head of what's that group in Lebanon? Hezbollah, thank you. Assyria. Assyria today is Iraq and Iran. And Assyria is joined with them, and they have helped the children of Lot. Deal with them as with Midian, as with Sisera, as with Jabin at the brook, Kishron, who perished at Endor, who became a refuse on the earth, and make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeeb. Now, where does that come from? It comes from the book of Judges. And in Judges chapter 8, in verse number 12 to 21, Gideon has now defeated the enemies of Israel. And you know what it says? And for he killed Zebah and Zalmunna. Listen to what he took. The crescent ornaments that were on the camels' necks. It goes all the way back. The crescent moon and the star is the symbol of Satan in the Babylonian religion that goes all the way through the history of mankind. And in this future war, because everyone agrees, Psalm 83 is a war that has not yet happened. It is going to happen. Every one of these nations are Muslim nations. And it says in Psalm 83, deal with them just as you did with these guys, specifically destroying the crescent ornaments that there were, the very symbol of Islam. Now, one last thing, because we could go on. When you study the Quran and the description of Allah, it's exactly like Satan in the Bible. The angel that comes to Muhammad, an angel of light, exactly the description. In Hasty's Encyclopedia of Religion and Ethics, it says this: Allah corresponds to the god Bel of the Babylonians, and Allah is a pre-Islamic name, a name that was used before Islam was created in the 600s. That corresponds to the Babylonian god Baal. And so the Baal of the Canaanites, the Ashtoreth of that, it's all this same thing. And what's interesting, yet to this day, the Muslims will bow down 17 times a day. They will prostrate themselves facing a star that fell from heaven, a meteorite stone that is in the Kaaba of Mecca today, of which once in your life as a good Muslim, you have to make the Hajj, circle around that stone 7 times and bow down and kiss it. Why? Satan has always desired to be worshipped. That's real history. And that's the truth. And that's why in this country, we have a huge issue. Because Islam is not just a religion. It is a political ideology that demands worldwide conquest and submission. Today, and do a Google search on it and find it for yourself, in London, England, entire neighborhoods that have yellow signs posted all around, Sharia law enforced here. Last night I was watching Fox News. In Phoenix, Arizona, a Muslim dad runs down his daughter and kills her in an honor killing and is declaring that he is innocent because of Sharia law demands him to kill his daughter if she will not obey him. So do not think these are things that aren't here today. A U.S. congressman, a Muslim, was elected to Congress. And when he took his oath of office, became the first ever not to place his hand on a Bible, but to place his hand on a Quran. And a big deal was made out of it because he placed his hand on Thomas Jefferson's Quran. And it was highly hailed as this wonderful event because look at that. Thomas Jefferson, multicultural. He had a Quran. Why did Thomas Jefferson have a Quran? He had to study about it because America was